Welcome back to Beards, Bourbon, and Games. I'm your co-host Mike, and with me is
Conquer Corey.
And today we're looking at the PlayStation 2, one of the best-selling systems of all time. One of the big reasons it was the best-selling system of all time, it was the cheapest way to get a DVD player back in the day. And because of that, there's a bunch of these like this that are out there that have bad DVD drives. These were notorious for failing throughout basically the years where people just running them because it was a cheaper DVD drive to keep the cost down. Well, a lot of people, when they get this happens, they just toss the thing away. But
A lot of ways.
it's a waste because with these systems, they're a lot cheaper because this drive doesn't work, and you can turn it into the ultimate PS2.
So since the disk drive's not working, we thought, why not make a digital library? So for this guide, we're going to show you how to customize your PlayStation 2 to allow it to play ISOs from a hard drive. For this, you will need a couple of things. We'll put all the links below with all the items that you need. First, we need a SATA network drive. Now, you can use the regular network drive and get a parallel ATA hard drive
kit.
PATA.
Yeah.
I always call it PATA. I don't think that's what it's called. But the ribbon cables, yeah. Those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, bear with me. Those that do understand, if you know, you know. But we bought a SATA one because we want to put a smaller hard drive. And we'll need a hard drive. A laptop hard drive will be fine. We're going to put an SSD in it.
Mm-hmm.
The main reason for that is we want to keep the noise down.
Yep.
We're going to try our best to get creative with this. But do note that the SATA drive is not going to increase your load times because this interface is so old, it's not going to take advantage of the speeds and SSDs offer. You will need a specialized memory card that you can buy online. This is going to provide the free Mcboot. It's going to allow us to exploit the system and boot from a hard drive. So all of our games that we can no longer play, we're going to be able to play them. But we're not going to stop there because we love customizing things here on Beards Bourbon Game. Actually, Mike's he's addicted to spray paint and he loves spraying everything.
Just the smell of it.
And of course, we're going to do it red because red wants to go faster. Also, we're going to get a little creative with some needs from 3D printers. We 3D printed some parts here. We'll have the links below to the STL. So if you have a 3D printer or you have a friend that has a 3D printer, like Mike does, he just messages, hey, print this. We're going to do a little bit of customization with the fan and the hard drive holder. We also have a fan mod because we want to quiet this thing down. We want to make it a little bit modern.
Mm-hmm.
And so we bought a specialized 3D printed kit with a Noctua fan. Noctua makes really good things. So it's going to keep the temps down. It's going to keep the noise down. And then, of course, as always, we do need an HDMI converter for the modern TV set. So we're going all the way with this.
Hey, so Future Mike here. We also forgot to mention that you also need a USB to SATA connector, which is on the screen right now. Yeah, so we kind of forgot to mention that. Back to the video.
Without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, so this part of the video is only if you want to install the fan mod and make modifications. If you just want to use your base PS2, just skip ahead to the hard drive setup. So we got a few tools here: a tray that holds our screws, screwdriver, a knife, and a multi-tool. First thing we're going to do is take the knife, cut the warranty seal so we can open the case. We're going to remove the hard drive bay door. And at the bottom, there are 6 screws that we need to pop off the little feet stands and then take those screws out.
And one thing with these screws you want to remember is that they are different lengths. So kind of remember which ones get pulled out of where so that you don't mix them up. We're going to put them back into the PS2.
So yeah, totally not being irresponsible like I am. One thing you can do is take a sheet of paper and mark where the screw came from and lay it down in those sections. I was just kind of playing fast and loose with this and just start tossing them. And you'll see at the end, I ended up putting extra screws. But everything functionally worked. It was fine. And Mike had no idea until we did this video.
I knew it. I knew something was wrong. I could feel it.
So once you have the screws, you just simply remove the top case, just like that. And be very careful. There is a ribbon cable there for your power button and your eject tray button. So you will have to just pop those buttons. They literally just remove out. Be very careful with that because I almost broke the corners. But it should just come out. Just don't be too forceful. All right, so we got some screws here to remove on the inside as well.
Again, it's a good idea to take a sheet of paper, which we thought about afterwards.
See the power connector there is just going to slide out just as I showed. And once you have everything, the screws taken off from the front, there is a ribbon cable there, and all you got to do is push that little plastic flap up. It gave me a little bit of trouble because it is old and it's been like that for a while, but I did manage to get it, and you just simply gently disconnect the ribbon cable. Again, be very careful with ribbon cables. They are very delicate. If you cut them ever so slightly, there's no guarantee they'll work. All right, so we removed the bottom there, and now we are going to we're taking a look at a lot of the dustiness, so we decided to get a air duster and blow it, and then we got a surprise visit from Mako.
Our BBG dog.
BBG mascot. All right, and here I'm just removing some additional screws, mainly the one that holds the fan housing. We'll take that housing out and install our custom fan. Now we're going to take off the disc tray there. Again, be very careful with that. It should pop off, but if you too much force, you can risk breaking it. All right, now we're to the bottom here, and we are going to remove the power supply board. So there's 4 screws that holds that in.
Corey made me clean it while he finished taking it apart.
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very good at taking things apart here in the studio. It's putting it together that gets kind of dodgy, but hey, that's okay.
I like to watch.
So there is a 4-pin connector there on the other end of on the other side of that board, so you just lift it up, and it does have capacitors, so do not touch those capacitors. They do have there is a very high likelihood they have electricity stored in them, and unless you want to ride the lightning, don't touch them or lick them. Now, to remove the fan, there is a tiny fan connector, and you can see here I had a little bit of trouble. Don't do what I did and get reckless with those pliers. You should be able to remove it with your fingernail or your hand. I was getting frustrated with it because I was getting impatient, and I got lucky and did not trip the wire out.
This is where I cleaned it up. I scrapped all the stuff off. Now, in order to paint it, we have to remove this Sony sticker so it doesn't get messed up when we paint it. And the same thing on the front, we're going to be painting it. So there's a little screw on the back that you just have to unscrew, and it takes that whole assembly apart. Be careful, there's a spring in that. It will shoot off if you're not careful. You want to make sure you save that so when you're putting it back together, you'll have all that, and that little PS2 symbol will still twist and turn for you just nicely.
Yeah, we got very lucky because we were playing Daft Punk in the background while we was taking this thing apart.
Getting real excited.
And we could there was no way we could have heard where that would have fell. Because we were just jamming out. You can see me kind of just shifting back and forth and stuff because we're listening to harder, better, faster, stronger, technologic. You know, all the hits.
We were rocking out pretty hard. Mako here is jumping around, making sure we're doing everything correct.
So here I'm just doing a good cleaning. This is an old console, so you're gonna have a lot of dust bunnies.
Now we get to the part that we're going to paint it. We're not going to give you a full breakdown of how to paint in this video because we've done it so many times in the past. If you want a good breakdown of how to do this, check out our PS5 video, which will be linked below. We give kind of a step-by-step instruction on how to do this. But kind of a quick overview, you want to make sure you clean all the surfaces, make sure they're all good and nice. That was an old PS4 that had some like gunk on it. I scraped it off, made sure it was good. You want to do multiple passes, let it dry, come back, do multiple passes again, just like we talk about in the PS5 video. Make sure you get it from all angles. It's very important you don't want to like flip it around there at the end and be like, oh, I missed a big spot. So you kind of want to go around and always think about multiple thin coats. You don't want to do too heavy of a coat and have like blotches or overspray. That happens really, really easy, especially with the spray cans. You see me just sitting here watching it, making sure I got all the spots from my first initial coat. And this is where we realized that we have the sticker still on there. So I had to pull the sticker off.
And it goes without saying too, we didn't have a whole lot of time to get this done, so we were out there spraying on a very windy day, and we had to stop. So it goes without saying, when you're using spray can, make sure the weather is favorable. You know,
Yes.
Very low humidity, preferably none at all. And if you got wind blowing, just time your sprays very carefully.
And of course, in true BBG fashion, we're not happy with just having a red case. We decided we want to do a theme on this one. So we decided to do an Eva Unit 2 theme. Well, we didn't get any stickers because we forgot to order them, and the only thing we could find was that black outline. So this is me tracing it out, painting it, like we always do. Just going above and beyond.
Next, I'm going to replace the CMOS battery. So the 2032, you can get those at Walmart very easily. So we got lucky here. This CMOS battery was on the side on a daughter board, but there are other models where the CMOS battery is actually located under the heatsink. And that would have been a whole lot more painful to remove. So here I'm going to install our fan mod. Going to plug in our fan. Now we do got a little bit of extra slack here in the cord, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of cable management to make sure that I don't snap down on it. And you'll see here in a minute that I actually end up having to reposition it. Put my plastic shield back on. We're going to slide the hard drive caddy. Yeah, caddy, I think is the word. Yeah, caddy. Back in, and then we're going to plug in. Now, there's only one way this power board will plug in, so make sure you line it up perfectly. Don't be too forceful. It should only take just a very little force to push it down and connect it. If you get too forceful with that, you do run the risk of bending those pins, and that would not be good. Okay, so it should seat quite nicely there. We are going to take our screws and we're going to refasten our power board using those 4 screws. We'll slide our power switch and our power plug in right back in. And now we're basically just working backwards. We're reassembling the screws and putting everything where it needs to be. This is why paper comes in handy, because you know where everything needs to go. We're going to reinstall our controller and memory card. This took me a few minutes to learn how to reseat it, but now we got the bottom of our case here. It should just slide in. Now you may have to reposition it a few times, but you'll know if it doesn't line up right. You know, I have disassembled a few consoles already, and I gotta say, so far the PS2 is probably one of the easier ones. Okay, we're gonna reseat that.
It's the controller and memory card. Again, be careful when you're putting the ribbon cable in. It should just slide in. You should be able to put that lever down. It should lock it into place for you. This is after we've reassembled that.
Here in a minute, I'm going to realize that my that ribbon cable that goes to the power, I accidentally nicked it.
So they called in the big guns.
we were very fortunate that we didn't do any damage to it. But just, you know, learn from our mistakes. Be very careful with that. Make sure that when you're putting the case on, you're not forcing like the case down on that ribbon cable. So it just takes a little bit of adjusting there to get it to snap back into place quite nicely. And then once you do that, all you have to do is put the screws back on the bottom. The dance isn't required, but it does help.
The Daft Punk is required, though.
Yes. Specifically Technologic. Harder, faster. Well, harder. Harder is an acceptable substitute.
So now I'm just reattaching the Sony label. I use some pretty strong, thick glue. Put in there. Don't put too much because you don't want it to seep out onto your paint and basically destroy it. Same thing with the cover for the I/O stuff goes. Just a little bit of paint or a little bit of glue on there. Make sure it was on there real nice and neat. And I'm real happy with how those colors pop with the red. And this is the cable that I didn't mention at the beginning.
Yep. So now we're going to do some hard drive prep. We're going to go to the website here. I will put a link to the website below. And we're going to download and install this program here. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. It's Win. You know what? I'll butcher it if I try to say it. Basically, you're going to extract it. You're going to run that as an administrator. Next, you're going to click Select Drive. You're going to select your drive that you plugged up. And then you're going to select the 48-bit. Now, the reason for that is if your hard drive is larger than 128 gigabytes, you have to put the 48-bit. Then you just follow the prompts. And some of them do look like warning prompts or error prompts. Just proceed. You can read the messages and stuff. Click OK. One thing I do want to say that it took me a while to figure it out. Do not format your hard drive in Windows. This program will not detect it and will not format it correctly if it's already been formatted by Windows. Now we're going to add some ISO images. So I got my ISOs right here. So I'm going to click and go ahead and import those. Once you add all the images, click Start, and it's going to run through them. Now you're going to see that I'm going to run into a few errors here. That is a known thing with the program. It only looks at the first 24 characters of the name of the file. So if you have like disk 1 and disk 2, if the first 24 characters are the same, it views that as a duplicate. So you have to get a little creative and rename the disk 1 and disk 2. Or excuse me, disk 2. So you can see there where it says error duplicate. So you're going to see me go in here in a minute and actually do some renaming, and I get a little creative just for the sake of the video to get through this part. I think you pronounce that WinHip, but I could be wrong. Pretty sure it's WinHip. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if someone knows that how to actually pronounce that, but I'm pretty sure it's WinHip. Once again, me kind of toying around with the naming of the file just to try to get it to go through.
There you go.
Eureka! Yeah, I had to abbreviate the whole name of the game, but hey. right, so now we're going to use our custom 3D printed hard drive bracket, and we are going to secure our SSD drive. We're going to plug it into our SATA adapter. And the really cool part is it just slides into place. Now, because of my print, I had a little bit of excess filament. It didn't slide all the way in place just right, so I did have to trim that a little bit. But that was an issue with my printer, more so than the part itself.
Are you requesting screws?
That's just simple flathead screw is all you need for that. Really easy. Now we got a free Mcboot memory card. We're just going to plug in, and then here's the software. So once you turn on, it'll boot directly to the free Mcboot. Here in the main menu, if you want to just, you have some options here, but if you want to just launch the games, go to HD Loader 0.8. At least that's what it was for our version. Here it's going to give us a list of the games on our hard drive, and we're going to test a few.
One thing I did want to point out, the HD adapter we used, it had an external power required. It would work plugging it into the front of the PlayStation 2, which was really nice. So we didn't have to use like a separate adapter to make it work. A separate power brick.
That's always good. Core Nexus. It's a good game. All Armored Core games are good.
With the new one coming out, I'm real excited.
Oh, yes.
The videos are sped up a little bit for time, so he is actually not that fast or that good.
Here we have Star Ocean till the end of time. I've never seen a main character swing a sword like that. But, and then of course we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist to the Rose. A fun little PS2 game from our childhood.
This game was so weird.
It was very different.
I remember us getting to being like, wait, what?
Here it is. You'll notice that it looks a little bit different. When this project started off with, hey, it was a conversation Mike and I had a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, let's do a modded PS2 video. I got one with a damaged disk drive. I'm like, okay, we'll put free Mcboot on it.
Yeah.
I call it Mcboot. But anyways. And then Mike was like, why don't we just paint it red? We were going to paint it red. And then I was like, then I pretty much turned around and I was like, and he was like, and I was like, but then I was like, let's not just paint it red. Let's give it a theme. Eva Unit 02. Evangelion. And we were just going to like print something, slap it on the side. And then we decided we're going to go to Game Exchange. We found a silhouette, like a little paper holder folder or something. Cut it out, and it led to this stencil that Mike made. So what was going to be probably a 2-hour project turned into a whole day.
Yep.
But
we were originally just gonna buy a big sticker and put it on the front of it and be like, "Oh, look at this!" But I'm glad we did this. I think it turned out great. I absolutely love it. There's not another one like this on the planet. There are many like this, but this one is Mars.
But and like I said, I want to keep it about the mod. We took a damaged PS2, we breathed new life into it. But we're not satisfied with just that here at Beard Gripping Games. We had to put a twist on it. We had to make it unique, make it really stand out for what it truly is, and now it has earned its place as a custom BBG console on our shelf, alongside Mike's PS5, my PS5. Yeah, we'll put some B footage here and show you some of this stuff. But it was really fun to work on. There was a couple of moments. Luckily enough, we lucked out, and the CMOS battery was very easy to access on this unit. It didn't have the one on the main board. We didn't have to fully disassemble it.
It had the daughter board on the side, which was we were actually really confused because the original guy we pulled up talked about it being under the board, and it was like, well, we've got it taken apart. We need to replace the CMOS.
And looking at all these, so thank you, anonymous guy on Reddit who happened to say, hey, there's different production models of the same model number.
Yeah, this one had the daughter board, which we were like,
but the 3D printed accessories worked really well.
Yep.
Though some of the ones I printed, I had to trim a little bit, but that's okay. Really like the fan mod. It's super quiet. The Mcboot is amazingly good. I mean, you use
it works
program,
so well.
Load the ISOs. We did notice some problems with Burnout 3. It didn't want to launch, but I think it's a known issue looking online. And we're still learning some things. Apparently there's a button command you can do to reset into the main menu. I haven't gotten that far yet. But we took something that was broken, that was a paperweight, and we gave it purpose again.
Yep.
And I know there's many of you out there who have the same thing. Now, you don't have to go crazy like we did on it. This is something we did. This was a very easy process.
Yes.
For us. And we spent about maybe $30. Well, the fan mod itself was $30.
Yeah, it was $35 for the fan mod. I think this was $25. We got an SSD because we wanted to keep it quiet. Because I'm touching base on the fan thing again. It is whisper quiet. This whole console is just nothing. And you don't have to take it apart unless you're doing the fan mod. Right. That's the only reason we took this thing apart. If you're perfectly fine with spraying out your PS2 with compressed air, keeping the same fan. Now, I know it is a lot noisier. It's quiet now. We've turned it into a more modern console. Yep. You can actually put a mechanical drive in there. You can put just get the card for like $20. Get the adapter for like $15. 20. It's between $25 and $15, depending on where you buy it from.
And you don't have to have an SSD. You can literally pull out a laptop hard drive out.
Yeah, just find an old laptop pulled out because like the SSD is not doing a performance at all on this.
This interface
there's no performance. There's no performance increase for having an SSD. It's just the sound.
Like I said before, this is an IDE interface.
Correct.
Ribbon cables, baby. Woo! They're coming back. Just like every PC builder watching this video just cringed and flinched. Except for the one guy, the alpha male, that would wrap his in tape and make a round cable out of it.
I remember when I found a IDE cable that went into a tube that would light up from black light, and I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I was like, "Oh, they could be round now."
But as you can see there, the paint was really good. We tried the custom silhouette just to make it different. I really like this mod. I think what will really top this off is to get a wireless adapter, but unfortunately the local store did not have any. I tried. I really tried. And I've called them a lot today. They probably stick a tear in for me because my first question was, do you have any Evangelion decals? And they're like, and then what?
What's this Evangelion you speak of?
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this project. And I think it's something that a lot of people do. I would wager a lot of people have broken PlayStation.
Oh yeah,
with disc drives. These disc drives were bad to go out.
Most of these that end up in the trash are because the disc drive fails.
And when you do Mcboot here, it's different than emulation. It's emulation still to a degree, but it's actual hardware emulation. And that's probably the most purest of emulation you can get. I was playing Armored Core Last Raven on it, which you cannot emulate even today. It's real finicky. You have to do it in software mode, and even then it's kind of touch and go.
Yeah, but it was just as you saw in the B footage, it was just perfect.
Yeah, so Armored Core Nexus ran really, really well. Last Raven ran good as well. We tested it. It's not in the video, but yeah, it was a lot of fun with this product. It did take a lot of time,
Yes,
but that's only because we just went crazy with it.
we went too far. It's what we do. We got up this morning and we're like, hey, let's just spray it and we'll paint it red. We'll put the Eva thing on the back. Oh, we forgot to buy an Eva sticker. Let's see if we can get a hold of an Eva sticker. Oh, there's not one in town. Oh, let's replace the CMOS battery. We're in here already. Let's clean it out.
And if you do take off, just note in the video earlier there, be very careful with that ribbon cable. I almost cut ours in half.
Oh yeah. Be very careful on the buttons, the front buttons. Yeah, be careful with those ribbons.
But with that, let us know down in the comments what you think. Do you like the theme? Do you like the color? Also, would you like to see us do another console mod? I'm really thinking about having us do a original Xbox mod.
I had so much fun with this that I want to do another one. This was an amazing. This was a blast to do.
But I'm your co-host Conqueror Corey.
I'm Mike.
Let's roll that footage.
See ya.